In October 1980, the Learning Channel was founded. It had previously been a channel that was strictly available in the Appalachian region of the United States and played primarily educational, instructional, and health-conscious content. These programs took the form of documentaries about these various subjects, and while they were educational, they were also boring. The channel was regularly used in schools, with teachers often differing to these shows to amplify lessons and make their jobs a little bit easier. Despite its noble pretense, the channel itself didn't fare well when it came to ratings. At the time, it was one of the only academic educational channels that existed. But as time went on, the other networks made their own educational content and the ratings began to drop. Suddenly, there were shows that were entertaining as they were informative, and teachers began choosing to use those shows in class, rather than the documentaries that often put everyone to sleep. As the years went on, and the viewership kept dropping, the programming executives began to get desperate. They knew that if the ratings continued to decline, they would lose their funding and their jobs. And so, in 1998, they decided to make a shift in their content towards reality-based shows, like Trading Spaces and Junkyard Wars, and changed their name from the Learning Channel to TLC. It also helped that reality-based programming is notoriously cheap and easy to make, meaning that they were able to save money by doing less work. They maintained that these original shows and the channel itself was still based around educational programming. However, it was clear to see that this was not the case. Despite the shows having vague DIY instructional moments meant to educate the viewers at home, it was obvious that the main appeal of the shows was solely entertainment and competition. Despite the radical and swift shift in content, the network did better than it ever had before. These shows quickly garnered their own audience and set record ratings for the network. More people were watching TLC than had ever watched before, and it was clear what they wanted. The educational programming was quickly filtered out and replaced by more reality shows, like John and Kate +8, Toddlers and Tiaras, and the Adam Carolla Project. People became obsessed with their shows, not because they were good, well-made pieces of media, but because they were trashy and showcased the grosser sides of life. They showed the weirdest and worst that the world had to offer, and most people watched in order to feel better about themselves. On many occasions, their shows were likened to watching a car crash. You simply couldn't look away no matter how grotesque it might become. How could those executives in 1998 know that by changing their programming block from purely educational content to trashy reality television to save their jobs and the network, that they would end up platforming a child predator and a family that worked incredibly hard to keep his disgusting actions hidden for years? Welcome to another episode of Dreading. Today we are going to go over the life and crimes of Josh Duggar, the reality star who was recently found guilty of owning child pornography.